After fainting at the end of the previous canto, Dante awakens to the sound of a powerful thunderclap and discovers that he has already crossed the river Acron, finding himself within the first circle of hell, a region known as Limbo, where the atmosphere differs greatly from the terrifying scenes he has encountered so far. Although the place is shrouded in darkness and sadness, there are no screams of agony or scenes of physical torture, and instead the air is filled with countless sighs, which reveal a sorrow that comes not from bodily suffering, but from an eternal sense of loss. Moved by curiosity and concern, Dante asks Virgil about the nature of this place and the souls who inhabit it, and Virgil explains that Limbo is reserved for those who lived honorable and virtuous lives, but lacked the Christian faith that, according to medieval theology, was necessary for salvation. Many of these souls were born before the coming of Christ, while others never received baptism, and although they committed no grave sins and often displayed wisdom, courage, and moral integrity, they remain forever excluded from the presence of God. Virgil then reveals that he himself belongs to this circle, a fact that gives the conversation a deeply personal dimension because Dante has already come to admire him as a guide, a teacher, and a symbol of human wisdom. The punishment suffered by the souls of Limbo is therefore not one of fire, violence, or physical pain, but rather the eternal awareness that they will never attain the happiness of paradise, despite all the virtues they demonstrated during their earthly lives. As they continue walking through the dim landscape, Dante asks whether anyone has ever escaped from Limbo and entered heaven, prompting Virgil to recount an extraordinary event that took place after the death of Christ. He explains that Christ descended into the realm of the dead and liberated several righteous figures from the Old Testament, including Adam, Noah, Moses, Abraham, and King David, leading them into eternal glory, while leaving the remaining inhabitants of Limbo behind. Their journey then brings them toward a brilliant light shining in the distance, and as they approach it, Dante sees a magnificent castle protected by 7 walls and surrounded by a clear stream, a structure that stands in sharp contrast to the darkness of the surrounding landscape. After crossing the stream and entering the castle grounds, Dante discovers a beautiful meadow where many of the greatest minds and heroes of human history reside together in dignity and peace. Before fully entering this noble gathering, Dante and Virgil are greeted by 4 famous poets who recognize Virgil and welcome him as one of their own, and Dante is astonished to find himself invited to join their company. The group includes Homer, regarded as the supreme poet of ancient Greece, along with Horace, Ovid, and Lucan. And for a brief moment, Dante symbolically takes his place among the greatest literary figures who have ever lived. Accompanied by these masters of poetry, Dante explores the castle and encounters an extraordinary collection of historical, legendary, and intellectual figures whose achievements shaped the course of human civilization. Among them are great warriors such as Hector and Aeneas, influential rulers such as Julius Caesar, and many noble women celebrated for their courage and virtue throughout history and mythology. The most impressive gathering, however, is composed of philosophers and scholars, at whose center stands Aristotle, described by Dante as the master of those who know, surrounded by other towering figures such as Socrates and Plato. Nearby are scientists, physicians, and mathematicians including Euclid, Hippocrates, Galen, and Ptolemy, as well as renowned thinkers from the Islamic world such as Avicenna and Averroes, whose work helped preserve and expand the intellectual heritage of antiquity. As Dante observes these remarkable individuals, he cannot help feeling both admiration and sadness, because he recognizes that many of them represent the highest achievements of human reason, wisdom, and virtue, yet they remain excluded from paradise despite all they accomplished. Their fate reflects one of the central ideas of the Divine Comedy, namely that human reason alone, however powerful and noble, cannot achieve complete salvation without the assistance of divine grace. This lesson is embodied most clearly by Virgil himself, whose wisdom makes him the perfect guide through hell and purgatory, but whose limitations prevent him from entering heaven. Although he possesses extraordinary knowledge and moral insight, he belongs to a world that existed before Christian revelation, and therefore he can lead Dante only part of the way toward ultimate truth. Eventually, Dante and Virgil leave the castle and its distinguished inhabitants behind, returning to the darker regions that lie deeper within hell. As the peaceful atmosphere of Limbo gradually fades into the distance, Dante prepares to encounter souls who suffer far harsher punishments, marking the end of one of the most reflective and melancholic cantos of the Inferno and the beginning of a much darker stage of his journey.